What is going on, people? This is Elder Tenchi.
Are you really doing an intro for a spoiler warning?
Well, I feel like I have to.
Well, this is a spoiler warning. If you don't want to be spoiled and you're going to cry about being spoiled, well, here's your warning. You've been warned. You big baby.
Peace. What is going on, people? This is Elder Tenchi, and today I'm with my homie Kyo. We are about to review the new Netflix Sabrina series, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And honestly, I'm just going to start off by saying this might be my favorite version of Sabrina, the character. What did you think? I recommended you watch this. At first, I didn't really think you were going to, but you did, and you ended up getting ahead of me, quick.
I was surprised by how well written it was, and like you, I think this is my favorite incantation of Sabrina, because, to be fair, I only remember a little bit of the original series, and I know I watched the animated series, but I don't remember a whole lot from it. But once I saw Michelle Gomez, the mistress, I was like, yay! And it just became my thing to watch every day when I went home.
As soon as you saw the mistress, because we're both Doctor Who fans, so seeing her in there was a treat.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? She does great as a villainess, and I want to see where she's going with this role. Because she's not the mistress in this role.
Right. Not at all.
Not at all.
And that is, that to me was a surprise, because I didn't notice it was her, to be 100% honest.
Immediately. I was like, Michelle Gomez! Gasp.
But what did you think of the new Sabrina, the lead actress?
She did very well. I'd hate to say this, but I think she's a little bit better than Melissa Joan Hart. But her character is also written very different. She's a younger, almost more naive Sabrina. Because Melissa Joan Hart was like a very sarcastic Sabrina because she had Salem, and Salem kind of taught her sarcasm. Right.
And that is also true. Like the 1990s version of Sabrina was a lot brighter.
Yeah.
It was more comedic. It was a lot more comedic, and big ups to the original cast. Funny thing is, like, before this came out, Netflix had them react, like, some of the original cast. It was Melissa Joan Hart, Caroline Rhea, and and two others, one that played Aunt Zelda and Harvey, and they reacted to the new show, and they were like, "Man, this is not our Sabrina at all." And they were talking about their old show, like, we had sparkles coming out of our fingers. They have incantations and books, and like they were.
And Aunt Zelda smokes.
They were in awe of the new cast, and they gave them some advice about how to handle this property, because Sabrina meant a lot to a lot of people in our generation. So I think that's why some were a little turned off by the idea of there being a new Sabrina in the first place, because the comic's been out for a while, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. But when they told us that they were gonna bring it to Netflix with a brand new cast and a brand new feel, I think it turned some people off quickly because it wasn't what they remember,
Again, nostalgia murders everything.
Yeah, and that is the case. And I'm looking at IMDb right now. I'm looking at IMDb, and it looks like they gave it a 7.9 out of 10. I'd say that's pretty decent.
Right? I think it deserves a little bit more than 7.
Yeah.
Jeez, compared to a lot of other shows, I think it does, especially from Netflix, because let me tell you, Netflix has done some awful fucking things.
Yeah, but Netflix is the type of network where they'll take just about everything.
Yeah.
And I think they'll take it just to fill in the just to fill in like spots and see what sticks. It's like, it's like throw a dart at something and see what sticks type of deal that they got going on with some of these shows. Because if they feel like they're not getting the viewership they should, then those shows will be gone. Hence why some of the Marvel stuff is going away. But it's hilarious. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show. This show is dark. Is the dark realm, and when they talk about the realms, they talk about between the veil of life and death. There's a lot of that here, and there's a lot of religious overtones in here. And what I discovered is, me coming from a sort of religious background, there was a lot of similarities in the way they treated their material. You know, some people may not like that, but I thought of it as regardless of whatever your religion or whatever may be, there's a lot of similarities between the ones that I know of anyway. And that's what it made me think of, like her kind of rebelling against her beliefs. Like, why does this have to be this way? Why can't I tell my family I'm a witch? Why do I have to save myself for who they call the Dark Lord, who we all know of? And it was a
I always think Voldemort,
right?
The Dark Lord.
And it was some really cool commentary on it. At least that's what I got from it. What did you see?
I'm glad that instead of doing Wicca, they chose Satanism, because Satanism is a religion. And if you don't know anything about it, here's the thing. Their founding principles is it's the opposite of everything Jesus said. Thou shalt not steal. Fuck it, why not? If I don't have the money and I need to survive, why can't I steal? Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's belongings. Fuck it, why not? The whole idea is just, why not? So my only problem is that they're still kind of putting Satanism into a bad light.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like, Sabrina, her and her family, they're good witches. They're not evil or anything. And they definitely show that there's a duality. There's some people who are just bad or do things for selfish reasons, like Father Blackwood.
Right.
But then there were good and loyal people like Ambrose. But I didn't see it much as a commentary on religion. I was just like, hey, look, Soma realizes Satanism is an actual religion. It has its churches. It has its own founding principle. My point is you're still kind of representing it negatively. You're trying not to, but I see it's still there. And I'm like, I don't know if the writers of this is a little bit prejudiced, or
maybe, but then again, you know,
social conventions must say that everything that's not Jesus is evil. But you know what? At least they're trying.
At least they're trying. Me, myself, I was raised in a religious setting, but I am no longer religious. But
was I, and when I was 10, I was like, I'm done.
But my thing is, I respect all religions, whatever they may be. As far as the overtones in the show, though, like I saw similarities in a lot of things I was grown up to believe. So it kind of brought me back in a way. You know what I mean? But the overall imagery of everything, which is also could be considered controversial, was also kind of interesting.
You're talking about the statue of Baphomet, right?
The statue, the church, the church, the way they treat their coven,
Yeah.
That was cool. But then you have the lighter stuff, like Sabrina and her friends, her relationship with Harvey, which I like how their relationship is already a thing, instead of them having to realize that they like each other, then going out on dates and stuff. No, all that stuff it's already there. It's already established. Harvey and Sabrina are already a couple. They want to focus on mostly the families, and not just the Spellman families, but her friends' families too. And I don't remember that ever being touched on in the original one, so I thought that was a nice change.
I really don't remember the original one. I remember watching it, but I have no memory of any specific episodes or even the main plot of it, so I can't comment.
Well, basically, it starts out as a coming-of-age story. Like, Sabrina finds out she's a witch, so her whole thing is figuring out how exactly to live as a half witch. And they do make a big deal out of her being a half witch, but in
you filthy mudblood.
But at least in the Sabrina from the 90s case, if both her parents are alive, unlike this show, but in that case, if she were to meet her mother, which she has already met, but since her powers were manifested, if she were to actually look at her mother would turn into a ball of wax. I don't know why. They explained it because she's half mortal, and witches and mortals aren't supposed to be together. that if
everything is always imitating Romeo and Juliet.
there you go.
There's no greater love story than Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
No greater tragedy.
Actually, there is. I mean, Macbeth is.
Well, yeah.
Much greater tragedy.
True that. But in that case, it was her mother would turn into a ball of wax if they looked at each other, right? And if you looked at her again, then she would just cease to exist. She would turn into like tears. So it's just that's the way they handled that. In this one, they're like, screw it, both parents are dead. Okay.
Because that's very fashionable. We see it a lot, and with Japanese.
We see a lot. We see a lot of it in anime.
Yeah.
A lot of it in anime.
We see it with a lot of superhero stuff too, where their parents are just dead. Like Superman's parents are dead, but then he gets his adoptive parents, the humans who find him in Smallville.
Yeah.
But and Bruce Wayne,
Bruce Wayne's his parents die right in front of him.
Yeah. So this has been a thing since the 40s, and for the love of God, can we get over it?
Yeah. Well, can we get over Batman's parents?
Yes, Batman can. No, the question is, can Batman get over his own damn parents? But we're going off topic.
But as far as Sabrina goes, it also shows. What were we talking about? No good deed goes unpunished. Was that the theme of this? Do you think?
I think the theme of the show is no good deed goes unpunished because she tries so hard to do the right thing, the good thing, and it all blows up in her face. Now the fact is, it blows up in her face because she had the interference of the demon who possessed her high school teacher. But even without her high school teacher, it might have still blown up in her face otherwise. Because she's a very positive and optimistic character. And something Ambrose tries to get through to her is that you can't make things the way you want it to just because you want it. Like, when Tommy dies, he's like, don't mess with necromancy. Because, that should have... No one has to tell you that.
Right.
But things go very, very wrong. Because she wanted to make this right. But the universe was like, this isn't how this works. You can't just bring back life like this. I mean, Khaleesi learned this lesson, didn't she?
It has to be. There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance.
No good deed goes unpunished.
If she were to, say during the time they did that ritual, if the sacrifice stayed the sacrifice,
yeah,
do you think that would have gone a lot smoother?
If they hadn't buried her in the king soil to bring her back?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, but then she learned that she brought Tommy's body back, but not his soul.
Right.
So things still would have gone wrong, and she still would have been a murderer, because she still killed the other girl.
Right.
What was her name? One of the weird sisters.
It was, yeah, those... Let's talk about those sisters for a minute.
Prudence is my favorite.
Prudence was the ringleader.
Oh, yeah.
But...
she's definitely the Azula.
Yeah, exactly. She is the Azula of the show, and... she had no problem just either killing someone or threatening someone or getting on Sabrina's nerves but she could easily be summoned. Like you summon them like you would something out of the Keyblade. It's like, okay. She
was very truthful to her faith.
She was.
And she questioned Sabrina's lack of faith and said, how awful is it to be as faithless as you?
And once again, that's also a commentary on faith, because I've seen people have arguments like this before. What is the difference between your beliefs or non-beliefs versus mine? Like I've seen stuff like this go down. So that's another thing that I recognized in the show. But her being not evil, she's not evil. No, they're not evil. They're just the mean girls of the school.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the mean girls.
The evil ones were the guys. I'm sorry. That first scene with her friend. What's her name?
Susie.
Susie. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the guys who
that
were tormenting
was ridiculous.
her.
Why?
They lifted up her shirt. They called her names. They made fun of her.
What the heck was that all about? We
know.
know.
Hilda told us the kid was bullied, and it seemed like he might have been raped by other boys at camp.
Yeah.
And now he's a bully because it's an unresolved...
It's an unresolved cycle. And that right there. But I'm like, man, that's just straight up misogyny. Because all they did was tease her about, are you a boy or are you a girl?
Or about her haircut and because she's flat chested.
And because she's flat chested. And what did the principal do? The principal just
did nothing.
Just shrugged it off because he's just as
he's just as bad.
As them. Like, yeah, he's not going out there and just touching women all willy nilly, but he's just shrugging it under the rug, which is just as bad.
Which is what public schools do.
And
they do shrug things under the rug because they don't want to lose what little funding they have. They can't afford to be sued, so they kind of just hide it. And then they wonder why school shootings is a thing.
Nothing gets resolved. They talk about bullying, but it's not like those kids didn't get their just desserts.
Oh no, when they ran into Hilda, they definitely got them.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
yeah. So do you remember in the earlier episode, Ross wanted to read this book, The Bluest Side? So I looked it up, and it actually is a real book.
What's it about?
So The Bluest Eye is about this black girl who grows up, I believe, in Chicago. And she's been told she's ugly. So she considers her dark skin to be something to be ashamed of. It's considered ugly. So she becomes fascinated with whiteness. And I guess she's not as bad as Uncle Ruckus, maybe, from Boondocks. But I was like, you know what? I've never heard of this book before, and I certainly never read it. And why?
I have heard it, but you know what? That is a real complex. That's a real complex, and it's not just in the African American community. I've gone through it myself, not thinking that my skin is ugly, but listening to other people saying I'm not white, I'm not black enough. You know what I'm saying? They're like,
it does work both ways.
They're like, okay, because my real name is Kyle, so automatically, the first time I met someone and I told them my name, one time they said that sounds white. That just sounds like really white, and then
like most Western names are from Europe, they are all white.
And then if you ever hear me over the phone, or even I've been mistaken for a white guy on YouTube. They think
I always get mistaken for a kid.
That's not because of your voice. That's because you're short.
No, I've been told that I sound like a child over the phone, so I get mistaken as a kid.
I get white guy, or in some cases I get who is that man? Then they look at me and it's like, oh, because I'm shorter than they think I am based on my voice.
I've also been told I sound like Alphonse Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist. I took that as a compliment, though.
I would take that as a compliment.
I was like, Ed, brother.
But you are, all in all, you are a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
But let's talk about our favorite characters.
All right.
I gotta give it up to Hilda and Ambrose.
Those are also my favorite characters.
Hilda got the short end of the stick. I feel.
She really did.
Yeah, and she was the fun aunt. She was the fun aunt. She did what she was told as far as her beliefs were concerned, but when it came to her niece, she always was there to lend a hand, had her advice, got along with people. Zelda, she was just like
Zelda's overbearing.
Yeah, very much so. But then you find out she has a reason, and it's like, dang, so they couldn't just let her be overbearing. They had to give her a reason to become that way for you to feel sympathetic towards her. And
here's the thing, I don't feel sympathy towards Zelda, but I have a great admiration because she sticks to her convictions. But she's not willing to let other people down. Like, she could have let them down during the exorcism. But she showed up because she was concerned. And she could have let the mortals down, and she was like, no, we're going to right this wrong. So I have a lot of great admiration and respect for her. She's a good person, but she's a little overbearing, but she's very matriarchal. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Like, she's the matriarch.
She's the matriarch.
She's the matriarch.
She's what I imagine a matriarch should be. She's strong. She's determined. She knows right from wrong. She tries to help, but she pulls away when Sabrina pulls away, she let her have her way, and then she comforts her afterwards. I think she's a great archetype. If you're going to write a character similar like that, I would say based it on Zelda. Yeah.
And I gotta give it up to the actors who portrayed Sabrina's friends, like
Susie and Ross.
Like Susie and Ross. Rosalind, I'm seeing her name as Jazz Sinclair. She was like really when we find out about her family's history and how they're connected to how they're connected to the Greendale witches and everything that went down, I'm like, okay. I thought it was gonna be only the witches had powers, not every other family had something to do with it. I get this is a small town.
Yeah, it's like Riverdale.
Yeah, but I didn't really. It didn't really come. It really didn't occur to me that everybody had a reason for being here in this way. Like Harvey's family being witch hunters.
Oh, I do not like that at all.
And Rosalind's family, the women going blind. But developing this sixth sense, and I'm just gonna say it. The wise woman, like her grandmother.
Yeah.
The wise woman coming in with all those facts. It's like, look, you know what it is. The cunning. You don't have to know. You don't have to have the cunning to know if a person's a good person. Just look at them. But we know because of the cunning what's coming. And I'm like, this lady in a wheelchair right now, even though she only had a few...
Grandma Walker.
Like, she had a few lines of dialogue.
She had a few scenes.
And it was just really well done. I wish we would see more, but you know what? It was all right. The way they used her, great. What's her name? Oh, here's one of those other girls, Agatha.
Yeah, there we go, Agatha.
Yeah, Agatha and Dorcas.
Oh my god, that name.
Dorcas. I was like, was that a real name? But man, the fact that they talked in unison, those two, even though they're not twins, right? That was creepy.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot, yeah. Could
imagine how many times they messed up their lines.
Could you imagine them rehearsing their lines though? Like a lot of their dialogue was in unison. It was just funny. But Father Blackwood pissed me off.
I'm on the fence about Father Blackwood.
Why is that?
I don't hate him, but I also don't like him.
Okay, but do you think that was their intent for this character?
It could have been. Like I said, the only thing I strongly disliked was Harvey's family being witch hunters, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Alright, so you saw the actor who played his grandfather, right?
Yeah.
So, have you ever watched the show Teen Wolf? It's on MTV.
I saw like 2 episodes and ducked out. I didn't hate it, but
season 1 to season 4 were good. From season 5, quit watching. Alright, so the man who played Harvey's grandfather was a grandfather in Teen Wolf. He was Allison's grandfather, and Allison's family were werewolf hunters. And of course, she develops this relationship with the werewolf, Scott McCall. And that's why I really didn't like it. I was like, not only are you following Teen Wolf's exact thing, with the witch hunter dating the witch, and, the werewolf hunter dating the wolf, I was like, you're getting the exact same actor who was the werewolf hunter to be a witch hunter. I'm like, oh my god.
So do you feel like he was typecast in that point? Is that why you're pissed off?
No, I feel like they're just imitating it because they couldn't come up with anything different. I was like, really? You couldn't do anything different?
I don't know. See, I haven't read the comic that this is based on.
Me neither.
So we don't know how his character, even if this character was even in the original works. Like, if anybody who happens to be listening to this, number one, thank you. If you've listened to this and you've read the comics, let us know what you think about the comic. Do you feel like this compares, or do you feel like this is just its own thing? Nowadays, we seem to be heading towards trying to make the comic or the original work a little more closer than we did before. But we can never expect it to be a shot for shot, note for note, because that's just impossible. But all in all, I say that this is a good show, like half of a show, because this is only part 1.
Oh yeah, you know who we're not talking about?
Who?
Ambrose
was the man, and
in American television, we don't get a lot of gay characters, and we don't get a lot of minority gay characters.
Well, we're starting to get that more now because because people are rallying for it. Some people are not up for the change because they're like, why are they showing this on TV? And I'm like, it's a relationship. You show a relationship between two quote unquote straight people, no problem, So, and I'm like, but in this case, not only did they show Ambrose and his relationship with his become boyfriend. They also showed a little bit of bisexuality
Right.
too.
Yeah, with him and Prudence.
Right, and
When she was having like the little
that
orgy
that
and
little
his
kissing
room.
orgy. What the heck was that scene? It's like she was about to be. I know we're ping ponging between, but this is what happens when.
episodes.
But this is what happens when you watch a 10 episode series and you try to do a full review of the whole thing. That scene where she's saying that she's willing to be, she's about to be sacrificed to the feast and everything, and she just wants to, she wants to have that last night. I'm like, okay, so that's like the equivalent of the last meal. That's what you want to do. You want to have your food, and you want to.
She wants her cake and eat it.
She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Perfect. And so did Ambrose.
So did Ambrose, who took the place of Salem, because Salem was originally the bad warlock who did something and was turned into a cat and was under house arrest in the Spellman household.
And
now this role falls to Ambrose, and they never explain how the fuck they're cousins. If he's not Hilda's son and he's not Zelda's son, they cannot be related. I'm sorry.
It could be. Well, I have a lot of cousins through marriage. I have a lot of cousins through.
Yeah, but neither of her aunts are married.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
they're using a kinship term, but
Yeah.
they're not actually related.
exactly just
I
much
wish they
like
would have just clarified it a bit.
like much like I call you my sister.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's because you and I have known each other for a long time, and we have that kind of friendship.
And he's a mortician.
And he's a mortician.
And he's stuck in the house because he met Aleister Crowley. If you guys know anything about witchcraft, you probably know who Crowley is. He was a dick. And a con man.
Mm-hmm.
But Ambrose was my favorite character, and I don't think we got that much of him. But he was the conscience Sabrina needed, and she just didn't listen.
No,
Because she's 16.
Because she's 16.
Yep.
He has 70
seen
plus
centuries
exactly. He has
older than her.
70 plus years on her. And yes, he has his moments where he acts like a kid too.
Yeah.
But if I was cooped up in the house for that long all day, I wouldn't blame him. But as long as
That's
he's
why
not
it always looks like he's in his pajamas, because he's like, why get dressed? I can't leave.
Yeah, the only thing I got going for me is this job and the fact that I love my family. That's it. I can't leave the grounds, nothing.
But Father Blackwood gives him a way out. He lessens his sentence.
Right.
So that has to be something redeemable to you about Blackwood, right?
Oh well, yeah.
Even though,
but it's only
he's a whore.
But it's for his. It's for his benefit. I'm starting to believe that everything that Blackwood does is just for his benefit. Because
it's not really for the coven or anyone else.
No, it's him. It's just like when someone tells you that they've heard from whatever they believe in that this is supposed to be this way, and it's not right.
Oh, like the feast.
Exactly.
The feast.
It's not right.
Which was very cannibalistic.
Yeah, which is why Sabrina's father abolished it. But they brought it back, and at first he was gonna say, after he got caught out, he was gonna say, we gotta get rid of it. We do have to get rid of it. But then what happened? One of the followers got a little too excited because remember, she wanted to be the one to be sacrificed. So then what did she do? Made herself the feast. That scene was crazy.
Oh yeah.
That scene was crazy.
I kind of want to know what's in Hilda's truth cake. Because remember, she gave him all the cake, and it made Father Blackwood and Mrs. Blackwood tell the truth.
Oh yeah, because Mrs. Blackwood had her thing too. But you know what?
She believed that Prudence was trying to kill her unborn children.
Yeah. But you know what? But
which was just very paranoid.
But one thing I will say is you could tell this is a modern show because there's more there's a very diverse cast. And there's more, diversity here. Like his wife was black. The only thing that they discriminate against is mortals themselves. But that's only because that's part of the show.
All mortals are fuck them.
Exactly, but we don't care as long as you're like a witch and or a warlock. We don't care what you look like. It's all about. But it is like okay, you could definitely tell this is a modern show because this probably would be a little different just a few years ago. Just saying. But. Got a favorite episode?
A favorite episode? Let me see. Probably the dream episode with the dream demon.
I was about to say that same thing.
Because we learn so much more about the characters because they're forced to confront their fears.
Right.
Like Ambrose's fear is that no one loves him and that no one's going to remember him when he dies because he's stuck in this house all the time and it's kind of killing his soul a little bit.
Honestly, you took mine. I was about to say that same thing, but
And I think that was one of Zelda's greatest episodes, period. Because it made her come to terms. She was like, you know what? I do love my sister. Maybe I'm a bit too hard on her.
maybe. I mean, just killing her when she annoys
Is
me
you?
is not a.
I don't know. I think if I had the king soil, I would do that too. I would kill someone when they annoy me and bring them back.
And bring them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what? What happened?
But then she's like, what happens if you kill her and she doesn't come back? Zelda completely broke down.
Mm-hmm. Because she's like, that is my sister.
Yeah.
Like we don't get.
We see chink in her armor.
Exactly. Like we see the humanity in her.
Yeah.
Because she does care about her family.
She does.
She does care about her family. Sometimes she gets a little overly.
Like she explained to Father Blackwood, she feels like she's running a halfway house for witches because she's a perfectionist. She wants them to be perfect and to live up to this ideal, and they're just not.
Yeah, but she's not even living up to her own ideals.
Is she? Is she not?
Do you think if she was, she would be doing what she did with Father Blackwood?
Well, technically, it's not against their beliefs to be polygamous. Actually, it's in their beliefs to be polygamous, so yes, she is.
I think she just had a thing for him from the get-go.
Oh yeah, from the first time she mentioned him, I was like, sounds like she's in love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
do you think she could also want the power and the respect that comes with being the high priestess?
Possibly, but after what she did at the end, I don't think she would care about that. I think she cares about protecting what happened at the end. I think we spoiled enough, to be honest with you. But that was just the end of part 1. This is still season 1. I'm looking at IMDb page, the IMDb page right now, and they're the next 10 episodes should be hitting us next year. So they're saying 2018, 2019. So I'm thinking sometime in either February or March, we're probably gonna get part 2. February, March, April, around that area. Them releasing.
I'm calling it now. We're gonna get a major showdown between Sabrina and her teacher.
Oh heck yeah!
Definitely, it's gonna be the last episode.
That was the build up right there. But if they were to do a season 2, like I said, I haven't read the comics, so I don't even know how long it is. You know,
I didn't even know there was comics for it.
Yeah, this is based on the comics. Well, Sabrina herself, that goes way back to Sabrina's first incarnation. She was it was an Archie made character. So, and that
because Archie's a little bit like Father Blackwood. He kind of can't keep it in his pants and pick a single girl.
Well, it's not just that. She was her own, like it was her own thing made by the same people that created Archie. But occasionally she would pop into the Riverdale cast, and which is why I'm kind of sad that the writers have said that they're not going to do any crossovers with the two. And I'm like, okay, all right, that makes sense because none of the.
I mean, if they did, it's too predictable.
I mean, it would make sense. Both of them are very dark shows.
Yeah, but it's too predictable. Don't take the road less traveled, my friend.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it would be nice to see them interact with this cast. Just saying.
A bunch of adults pretending to be teenagers still. Oh.
Well, some like I'm pretty sure the kids in this show were actual kids. When part 2 comes out, should we talk about part 2?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is just...
I'm going to be anxiously awaiting part 2, and that's just because I'm a fan of Michelle Gomez.
Word.
So if she's being a villain in anything, I need to watch it.
So, has this made you a fan of Kernan Shipka? Sabrina?
Yes.
The new Sabrina?
Yes, it has.
Big ups. Enjoy your work. Enjoy the entire cast. And we will be looking forward to part 2. In the meantime, I'm El Tenchi. Thank you, Kyo, for joining me on another one.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you on the next broadcast. Peace, love, and never be normal.